Right, today in verbal reasoning and non-verbal reasoning, we're going to do a warm-up where we are underlining two words made from the same letters, and then we're going to do a non-verbal reasoning paper. This sheet is a good example of making sure you read the instructions properly, because at first glance it's easy to assume it's like other ones that are similar to this, where you have to find the word that isn't made from the same letters as others. So you could potentially waste a little bit of time trying to do that if you haven't read the instructions properly. Right, pause the video while you find the two words which are made from the same letters in each line, and then press play again and we'll go through the answers. Right, the answers. The first line, the two words are ate and tea. The second line is bin and nib. Remember, nib is the end of a pen. The next line is to and toe. Toe as in not the thing that you have on your feet, but toe as in like when a vehicle or you pull something along. The next line is ton and not. Ton is a measurement of weight. The next one is butt and tub. Then we have tan and ant. Then we have mart and tram. A mart is a bit like a market, whereas a tram, I'm not sure if you'll all know what a tram, but lots of cities, not necessarily in England, we have a few cities like Nottingham and Manchester that still have trams. A tram is a bit like a small train, but it kind of goes on the roads. There's train tracks in the road, so it travels alongside cars on the roads, so round city centres. Then we have ages and sage. Sage is like a herb that you would use in cooking. Then we have leap and peel. Then we have ward and draw. A ward can be an area of a town or a city where everybody has the same counsellor, or in hospitals, a ward is like a big room or a small room where you have beds with patients that have similar problems. For instance, you might have the maternity ward where, whilst you don't have patients with problems, that would be where all the expectant mothers are going to go before they give birth. And the last one is late and tale. That type of tale is a story as opposed to the waggly kind attached to a dog. Right, award yourself some house points depending on how well you think you have done on that. Maximum of 2 though. Right, the non-VR paper, the first page is fairly straightforward. The second page though, question 8, please be aware that they're not looking for anything different other than really kind of the usage of it, because you could answer it in a couple of ways. The next page again is fairly straightforward. The next page, question 14, is using an old-fashioned camera. If you didn't know what you had to do with an old-fashioned camera, it would have something called film inside the camera. When you had finished taking all the pictures you were allowed to take using that film, you would have to take it somewhere to have the film developed into pictures, and then they would give you the pictures back to collect. A bit like taking something somewhere to get printed. The next page is fairly straightforward. The page after, pay particular attention to the suits for the playing cards. We've been through this before. The next page with the reflections, it's very rare you'll actually have a mirror near you, particularly at school, to do this with. But if you have a ruler or something else that's got a reflective surface, you can use this to help you work out the answers. Right, and the last page, just pay particular attention to question 29. Pause the video now, and then when you've completed the paper and checked your answers, press play and we'll go through the answers together and you can mark it. Right, with a coloured pencil, mark your answers. So question 1, it is A. And it is A because it looks like they're trying to draw it so it looks like it's on a lake or a pond, whereas the others they're trying to show are at sea. Question 2 is B because it doesn't have a horn or antlers, so it's the polar bear. Question 3 is C, because the others all have wheels and use the road, whereas the ship is in the water. Question 4 is A, because it's growing underground as opposed to growing above ground. And question 5 is A, because it's a ball, whereas all the others are bats or rackets or sticks that you'd use to strike a ball. Question 6 is B, because all the others would live in water, in the ocean. Question 7 is E, because it's a helicopter and the others are all planes. Question 8 was one I thought could be slightly tricky if I hadn't given you a clue. It is B, because all the others you can sit on. Potentially, if I hadn't given you a clue, some of you would have probably answered B, because all the others have legs, but the answer is actually D. Question 9, in the sequence of the painting, the next one in the sequence would be E. Right, the next one in our sequence, so after the lion comes B, the hyena. In our run of events at the airport for question 11, so after going through the gate and showing their passports and tickets, you may remember this from when we were allowed to go on holiday, it is C, where they're going to go and board the plane. Question 12, after the rake comes C, which is a trowel. And question 13 is A, so after the van comes the lorry. Question 14 is the old-fashioned camera. So after you've taken the pictures using your camera, you have to take them to be developed. So it is C. So in the picture, they've given it to the person, and the person who has developed the pictures is giving it back to them. Question 15 is D. It's the bobble hat that comes after the baseball cap. And question 16, after the cupcake comes the Victoria sponge or some other cake. So it's E. Right, so the next page, question 17. So the car's left the garage, is going on the road. So the plane has left its hangar and will be going in the sky. So it is A. Plane boots are to spotty welly boots, as a plane umbrella is to the spotty umbrella. So that is E. Sand timer is to a digital clock, as a hand whisk would be to an electronic whisk. So it would be C. Right, the next page, question 20. The bin has changed shape. It's gone from a cylinder to a cuboid. So the answer is E. Question 21. The 7 of diamonds is to the 9 of diamonds. So it's gone up 2. As the 4 of clubs would be to the 6 of clubs. So it is A. Question 22. The bow is to the violin, as the drumsticks are to the drums. So it is B. And question 23, whilst I don't use one of these myself, the hairbrush is to hair, as the toothbrush is to teeth. Obviously, I do use a toothbrush, I can reassure you. Right, the next page, 24. The bow is to the arrow, as the cannon would be to the cannonball. So that is C. 25, 26, and 27 are reflections. So 25 is B. 26 is C. And 27 is E. And the last page, question 28 is quite straightforward. It is C. Question 9 was the only one that I thought might give you some problems, and it is A, because they've been reflected. And question 30 is B. Count up your score. It might well be easier with these to count how many you got wrong and then take that off of 30 rather than counting all the ticks. Award yourself some house points, and then please send me through your scores.